Good day everyone! Welcome sa panibago nating tutorial series. So this is Information Assurance and Security 2 series. This is part 8 and for today we are going to talk about network controls, devices, and protocols. So let's continue chapter 4, Network Security and Policies. The security policy acts as a bridge between these management objectives and specific security requirements. It informs users, staff, and managers of their obligation requirements for protecting the technology and information assets. It should specify the mechanisms that you need to meet these requirements. It is also provides a baseline from which to acquire, configure, and audit computer systems and networks for compliance with the security policy. Therefore, an attempt to use of set of security tools in the absence of at least an implied security policy is meaningless. So, there are three reasons for having a security policy. These are to inform users, staff, and managers, and to specify mechanisms for security, and to provide a baseline. What does network security policy mean? A network security policy is a formal document that outlines the principles, procedures, and guidelines to enforce, manage, monitor, and maintain security on the computer network. It's designed to ensure that the computer network is protected from any act or process that can breach its security. A network security policy primarily helps in protecting a computer network for a network security threats, both internal and external from the organization or network. It is generally a broad document and varies based on the underlying environment, organizations, and legal requirements. So typically, a network security policy documents rules and legal procedures to access the network and modify its characteristics, governance and manage over the web or internet access, implement of security procedures, access control on network nodes and devices, and role or privilege-based policies such as identifying authorized and unauthorized services or process any user can perform on the network. So, extranet policy defines the requirement that third-party organizations that need access to organization networks must sign a third-party connection agreement. Next, minimum requirements for network access policy. It defines the standards and requirements for any devices that requires connectivity to internal network. Okay? Network access standards. It defines the standards for secure physical port access for all wired and wireless network data ports. Alright, so router and switch security policy. It defines the minimal security configuration standards for routers and switches inside a company production network or used in production capacity. Server security policy. The purpose of this policy is to establish standards for the base configuration of internal server equipment that is owned or operated by the company. Effective implementation of this policy will minimize unauthorized access to the company. Proprietary information and technology. This policy applies to server equipment owned or operated by the company and to servers registered under the company-owned internal network domain. And last, wireless communication policies. This policy prohibits access to the company networks via unsecured wireless communication mechanisms. Only wireless systems that meet the criteria for this policy or even the granted an exclusive waiver by InfoSec are approved for connectivity to the company's network. Next, let's talk about network security devices and technologies. Firewalls can either be software or hardware, though it's best to have both. A software firewall is a program installed on each computer and regulates traffic through port numbers and application, while physical firewall is a piece of equipment installed between your network and gateway. Without firewalls, computers and devices in your network are susceptible to hackers and make you an easy target for attacks. Therefore, it is essential to understand how firewalls work and what different types are available, and which are the best for securing which areas of your network. Most commonly, people use proxy to refer a service they connect to through settings in their web browser. When you connect to a proxy server, all of your web traffic is routed through the proxy server. instead of going directly to the website you're visiting. In other words, a proxy acts as a gateway between users and the internet. Proxies also change your IP address. In this way, the website you visit thinks that you're coming from another country, which helps you to stay anonymous. However, the proxies that lack encryption might accidentally leak your IP address. A load balancer acts as the traffic cop sitting in front of your servers and routing client requests across servers capable of fulfilling those requests in a manner that maximizes speed and capacity utilization and ensures that no one server is overworked, which could degrade performance. If a single server goes down, the load balancer redirects traffic to remaining online servers, and when a new server is added to the server group, the load balancer automatically starts to send requests to it. Users are more concerned than ever about online privacy while using the internet at home or even connecting to public Wi-Fi networks, leading to an uptick in usage of virtual private network or VPN services to encrypt traffic. Whether you worry about your internet service provider tracking your online activity, you want to keep your data and identity safe, or you are trying to access geo-block content, a VPN can help. Using a VPN is one way you can protect your privacy online and keep your information protected from hackers, internet service providers, and other third parties. And next, protocol analyzers are tools that allow IT administrators and security teams to capture network traffics and perform analysis of the captured data to identify problems with the network traffic or potential malicious activity. This traffic data can be observed in real time by a technician for troubleshooting purposes, monitored by an alerting tool to identify active network threats, or retained to perform forensic analysis in the case a network breach is discovered. And last, a spam filter is basically a sorting solution that helps users in dictating and weeding out spam. These filters, which are either signature-based or rule-based, could either be located on central servers or on the local computers. In the present context, since there is a great increase in the volume and variety of spams, the filters are located on local computers. Ayan, so that's it for this video, and hoping na may natutunan kayo about introduction of Information Assurance Security 2. At kung may mga katanungan kayo, contact nyo lang ako through email or chat. Okay? So see you on the next video.